Oh, Aretha Franklin. Don't you miss her? You know, she died more than 8 months ago. And when she did so, she left behind an $80 million estate with no instructions about what to do with it. Well, that might have changed now because representatives have found 3 handwritten wills in her home. And they're going to be in court next month asking a judge, what do we do now? So let's talk about this with Ambrosio Rodriguez, a criminal defense attorney in Los Angeles. Thank you so much for being here. It's good to have you. So first and foremost, I would have to think they have to authenticate these wills since they were handwritten. How do they do that?
Well, they can use a handwriting exemplar, right? And they can use prior examples of her handwriting that are known to be hers in order to compare those samples with with these 3 wills. There's already been reports in the media that one of her former attorneys, her entertainment lawyer in Los Angeles, told the New York Times that it appears to be her handwriting. I think one of the biggest issues is that according to Michigan law, there's a requirement that a will be witnessed when it's signed. So there's that issue as well.
So if it wasn't witnessed, does that just debunk? Does it mean they're absolutely not valid? Because surely there have been situations where somebody, even say, was in a moment where they knew they were near death and might have written something down.
No, it doesn't make it invalid per se. Michigan law allows for what's called a holographic will, which is when the will clearly shows the intent and the desires of the person who passed, what they want done with what they leave behind. The real issue when someone like Aretha Franklin is that we're talking about an estate. That is, the legacy of Aretha Franklin will live on maybe forever, right? And we're talking about the wealth that comes with it, which is movies, movie rights, the using of her image, her songs being used in commercial. It is really kind of this infinite pool of wealth. And how does that wealth get divided? I mean, it is kind of shocking that someone like Aretha Franklin and someone in her position does not leave a living trust, which is very common with people that have her kind of wealth. So this is something I think is going to be in court, in litigation for a long time. For a long time, yeah. So what happens with that wealth? It just sits there and accumulates? I mean, I have to think this has got to be so hard on a family. And I would think something like this, it might really cause some divides within a family. Have you seen that? Right. So with this kind of wealth, there's an executor of the estate. So the executor of their estate is kind of like a referee. They hold on to the wealth and they have certain authority to do things with the money in order to keep it intact. That is, make sure that it's safe, that it grows. For example, the executive of the estate released a movie called Amazing Grace about Aretha's famous performance back in 1972 in Los Angeles. So the executor has certain power and authority over that wealth in order to protect it. But it is the distribution of that wealth that is going to be tied up in court for probably a long time. All right. Ambrosio Rodriguez, thank you so much for sharing with us today. We appreciate it.